Captain's log. Star date 6521 ACL 980200.0895 DCA. I am your captain, Tristan of the Everything is Fine with Ruin podcast, and I am here with my second in command, Hassan, as usual.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna have to stop you right there,
Yeah,
Captain.
what's up?
All the crew, we got together last night.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
We decided we're mutinying, and you're no longer captain.
Oh, finally! Oh, I hate this job. Ah, great. Okay, it's yours. Enjoy.
That's all it took.
Yeah.
So all these months,
Yeah.
where we had to deal with you not learning a single prime directive, despite us taping them to every door in the ship in the hope you'd read and you'd learn them.
What's a prime directive?
That you literally almost starting the Dominion War again when you made an incredibly inappropriate joke relating to BDSM and them being the subs of the changelings.
It was appropriately funny, okay?
It was not, and also dealing with the fact that you're constantly drinking real alcohol, not synthahol, and are rarely in adequate form to actually captain the ship.
Yep.
We could have just asked this entire time.
Yeah. The entire time. I honestly, I was trying to get fired the entire time, so like I was just
no. That's on us. We should have.
You should have seen it coming. Yeah.
You should have said something earlier.
You should have. Yeah. You're like, hey, I think you're unfit to captain. I'd be like, oh yeah, here we go. Enjoy. Here's the job.
No, you're right.
I just don't want to do this anymore. It's very hard. This job is very difficult. And I have to make decisions, and sometimes I need to file reports. And like once in a while, I need to sit in this chair and tell people what to do, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Great, yeah. You can. You know what? We'll give you one of the shuttles on the ship, and you go do whatever it is you want to do.
Oh yeah,
probably just.
I was gonna go at like Spock.
Drink.
I was gonna go at like Spock actually. Like fire myself into a star. Yeah, exactly. Fire myself into a star.
Oh.
Yeah.
We don't need anyone to go into a star though.
Oh. I guess I'll go on the shuttle and drink then. That also sounds pretty good. I mean, like either way. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. You go enjoy that, Captain.
I will.
Captain.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, before I go, what is your directive now, current Captain Hassan? Of the USS Everything is Fine with Ruin. We got to change that name. That's a long name for a ship.
My directive is to tell everybody about seasons 4 and 5 of Star Trek Lower Decks. We had previously talked about seasons 1 through 3, and now we're going to wrap it up with the currently... Yep. I'll say currently final 2 seasons. I don't expect they'll really ever do more seasons.
It's at a point where the you know how like the term will they won't they only ever really apply to like sitcoms where there's a love like a romance, your Rachel and Ross kind of thing, will they won't they, and now will they won't they applies to will they bring this back or not. That's the way I feel about that. Yeah. Anyway, will they bring it back? What do you think?
I think this show is decently popular enough that I don't think they'll bring it back, but I think they'll probably do specials or something. I don't think we'll never see some more of this. But one of the reasons that I did split up things this way of like seasons 1 through 3, and now we're doing 4 and 5 is I think seasons 4 and 5 are where this show really delivers on a couple of things that if you thought, season 1 was sort of okay, but maybe not amazing. I think season 4 is where it goes up a level, because the thing about seasons 1 through 3 is we definitely get some character evolutions, some sort of them dealing with emotional and character problems. But seasons 4 and 5 are where they get to truly evolve as characters. So at the start of season 4, the main lower deckers, so that's Beckett, Boimler, Tendi, Rutherford, they have gone from being ensigns to lieutenant junior grade. So that means that they are sometimes in charge of other people, that they get to go on to the actual bridge. Could not think of the term. But the bridge of the ship, they get to interact more with the actual bridge crew, et cetera, et cetera. And so we get to actually see them, advancing as characters. In Boimler's case, he very much someday wants to be sort of a captain or somewheres around there. And that actually getting to see the characters progress towards that goal, it really helps to make this show work. And we get to see also some of their relationships evolve. So we talked about it at the end of season 3. There's this sort of situation where Boimler has started to become friends with Shax, who is the head of security. And in seasons 4 and 5, we get to see that relationship develop more, and also develop with other bridge crew members, in particular the second in command, Commander Ransom, Jack Ransom, I think is his first name.
Ransom.
And we get to see this idea of, hey, the bridge crew becoming aware of the lower deckers and kind of having more of a serious relationship with them than in the previous seasons, where it was a little bit more just sort of like, we're the bridge crew, and sometimes we don't even remember what you guys are called. You're the expendable lower deckers. You clean the toilets and all the bad jobs. Another one of the interesting changes that happens is we sort of get a 5th main lower decker, even though they're not lower deckers anymore. But we get a Vulcan, Talin, who we actually saw her in an earlier season. I believe it was season 3. But she was on Vulcan ship. She never interacted with the rest of the crew. But her thing is that she basically acts a little bit on instinct and doesn't, suppress her emotions as much as she should.
Yeah.
Which is kind of,
not very
I don't want to say
Vulcan of her.
It's uninteresting. But we've seen this a lot with Vulcans.
It's
and
Spock,
so it's she's not quite another Spock, because they don't do the, at some point she's forced to lie, but she can't, it goes against everything that she believed, blah, blah, blah. Like, they don't quite go to that extreme. Right. I do like her as a character, and kind of adding in another does make for some interesting relationship dynamics. We'll get into more in season 5. One of the ones I really like in season 4, though, is that there's this very interesting dynamic between Commander Ransom and Mariner, because Mariner's whole thing has been she kind of self-sabotages. So she'll get a promotion and then she'll purposefully do something stupid and it gets her demoted, or she'll kind of lash out and, you know, screw the system. I'm going to do things my way, kind of self-sabotaging.
As you do.
But Jack Ransom, who he's, you know, very just gym bro, he's like, nah, I see through you, Mariner. And I know underneath that, there's a heart of gold, and everything you do, there's a purpose behind it. And it's because you want the best. And so there's this one episode where they basically go to this space station that's basically a zoo. And it's this, let me see if I can find it here. No, it's not going to easily let me find it. But basically they go, and it's this banana dude who...
Banana dude? Like, all right.
Yes. He's this weird banana alien.
Hell yeah.
And he's just like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize humans were smart. I'll just give them back to you. But he's like walking them through the ship, and they come across, it's supposed to be a cute little creature. I believe it's called Moopsie. She's like, oh, no, the Moopsie is terrifying. It sucks bones. Yes, this terrifying creature. And the whole time, Beckett's clearly been trying to, like, upset the guy and get them kicked off the ship and make, you know, Starfleet look bad, upsetting Ransom. And so eventually the Moopsie gets out. They have to run away from it. They get locked in this room, and the banana guy is, you know, it's her fault, blah, blah, blah. And Ransom's like, yeah, of course you've been trying to self-sabotage. And Beckett just goes, what? No, okay, look, I know it looks like I did it, but I didn't do this, and I know now you're going to believe me. And Ransom just goes, nope, I believe you. She's like, what? It's like, you're one of my people. I trust my people. If you say you didn't do it, I know you didn't do it. So let's just move past this and figure out a way through this. Turns out Beckett didn't do it. It was actually the two humans in the zoo. And, you know, they basically do it like, yeah, it turns out we humans really are the worst in the universe, huh? We sure do suck. But
We're
I really
the worst.
like... Yeah, but throughout this season, these two have this kind of antagonistic relationship, or Beckett antagonistic towards Ransom, and Ransom just very much trying to prove, like, I am not going, you know, very 1980s cliche movie of, like, teacher or the sensei or whatever, I'm not going to give up on you. I believe in you, and I'm going to, you know, craft you into the best you can be. That part's really good. We also, so seasons 4 and 5 also have slight overarching plots. So throughout this season, we keep getting these scenes where it's lower deckers on other ships. There's like a Ferengi ship, a Romulan ship, a Bynarr ship.
What's a Bynarr?
They're kind of like gray. What is it? The Gray Man, I think, is the term. They kind of look like that, but they're called Bynarrs because they basically like have this very fast, like very fast
like
manner of talking.
They're kind of purple, like gray purple.
Yeah, but they're meant to, you know, evoke like that Gray Man kind of.
I mean, yes, yeah. The gray head. Like large-headed gray aliens. You're right.
Yeah,
with a purple tinge. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
But it's we get these cutaways to this various ship that it's these lower deckers talking about not liking the captain, but then oh no, this weird ship attacks and it blows them away. And so it's not quite overarching, but it's sort of it's doing more to build up to a season kind of end. And another example of where it's doing that is Tendi, who is she is an Orion. So They are these greenskin sort of pirate people. Not in the like yarby mate, like they don't talk like that.
Space pirates.
More in the hey, we show up and we steal stuff.
Yeah.
And it like it would very gently hint and touch at things of her past around that, but season 4 is where we really get into that, and we get to learn a lot more about it. Like at one point, we get to learn about her whole title that we heard at one point, which was Mistress of the Winter Constellation.
Nice. That's a great title.
Basically, what we learn is that her family is one of the, I think it's 4 head families of sort of the Orion government. So she's not quite like a princess, but she's kind of close to it, except that the title Mistress of the Winter Constellation basically goes to the best assassin in her family. So we find out that, even though Tendy's this super nerdy science person, like her favorite thing is just her and Rutherford just doing what would be considered boring science to everyone else on the ship. Like even Boimler thinks that it's a little bit too far kind of thing, where they'll just like, oh, we're gonna go stare at this plant as it does this special mitosis. It's like, all right, you two go have some boring science fun. But like getting to get these bits of her past actually revealed and talk about it, it's like, this is good. Like past seasons were good. This is great. This is some really good writing. They've gotten into their groove and they've gone from walking to running on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, okay.
There's also there are some ideas in season 4 that one of them is maybe one of the dumbest, funniest, best things. I don't think I can find the episode, but let me just double check. No, not that one. Sorry, just one second. I'm just trying to find it here. Yes. So it is season 4, episode 4, Something Borrowed, Something Green.
Okay.
And this is one where we get a bunch of Tendi background, but this is also where, so Boimler and Rutherford have become roommates. And as a result, like sometimes tensions flare up. You're in a relatively small space with another person, spending a lot of time with them. And so like at one point they have this bonsai tree that, Boimler has, I think, just watered, and then Rutherford goes to water it, and Boimler's all like, no, I take care of, I forget, they have a name for their bonsai tree too. I can't easily see it here on this wiki, but they basically, I'm just going to call it John. They're talking about John, and they're getting heated about who gets to take care of John. And so the way they resolve this is they will go into the holodeck and they will get dressed up as, oh my God, I can't think of his name. Southern writers, the 1800s, like Huckleberry Finn and all that.
Mark Twain.
Yes. Yeah. They get dressed up as Mark Twain, including clearly just tape on mustaches. Mm-hmm. And then they just get on a simulation of, a Mississippi River riverboat with the paddles.
Okay, yeah.
And they just, I do declare they start to talk like a fine southern gentleman of the era. Oh, Mr. Rutherford, I insist that you get to water John on the even days, and I shall take him on the odd days. And for holidays, I will simply flip a coin. How does that sound? And that it's just this idea of this is how they solve things. Mm. And so eventually the Cerritos, their ship, forget the name of the species they come across. The captain just cannot get this species to come to an agreement. They're basically trying to recover some destroyed Starfleet equipment. The species is like, nope, we came across it, finders keepers. Cannot get through to him. Rutherford and Boimler are like, we know how to fix this. They have the alien go on the holodeck dressed like this. Alien doesn't care, gets pissed off. But
Okay.
And the captain's angry. The captain's like, "Why did you think this would work? This is so stupid. Of course this would never work." But they eventually take it to their room. It sees a bonsai tree. He's like, "Oh, this is the most incredible thing." Like, yes, we got through. Just eats it. You can have it. This was incredible. But the best part is,
John. R.I.P. John.
Their whole Mark Twain thing spreads, and we see it in multiple other episodes where other crew members will use this as their way to resolve tension and to basically have like diplomatic relations. It's like, yes, I'd love that idea. Because that would 100% work.
Do they explain why they? Okay,
Tristan,
let me take a crack at it. So the reason why they're doing this, just to, because this is my thought process. When you are a fine Southern gentleman upon a steamboat, everything seems a lot more civilized, no matter what.
That's definitely part of it. But let me just ask you this:
Sure.
If you got dressed up as Mark Twain and I do declare you start to talk like this, why wouldn't you find it much easier to resolve any arguments that you were having with another, perhaps rude gentleman?
I think it would behoove me to solve that problem. I do declare. Yes.
Yeah. I love it. It's like, yes. I love the payoff to this, that it becomes this, continual thing that we get to see. It's not just this one and done moment. One thing I will criticize it on, so getting to the end of this season, is that it doesn't quite 100% get there with sort of like planting the seeds and foreshadowing and building up to certain things. So the end of this season is essentially that this mystery ship that's been showing up and destroying all these other ships, the Cerritos has to go and figure out who it is. They basically get this tip, blah, blah, blah. But while this happens, Mariner seems to have been, going through something. She's just acting even more irresponsible than normal, throwing herself at danger in just a completely reckless way. And basically what ends up happening is that, so this mystery ship that's been attacking these other ships was being piloted by, I don't think I'm going to be able to easily find his first name. Why does this wiki suck?
Like the fandom wiki.
Yeah,
it's not very good. I
agree. Nick Locarno, that's the name I was looking for.
Nick Locarno.
Locarno.
Either way, he is a very boy bandish name. Go on.
Kinda. So he is a character originally from an episode of The Next Generation. It's the one where Picard is going to visit Starfleet Academy, and this group that Wesley Crusher was part of were supposed to have this sort of an equivalent of a flyby. They were part of Nova Squadron, and they do this really dangerous maneuver, gets one of the members of Nova Squadron killed. They try and cover it up, get blah, blah, blah. So what we learn is that the person who gets killed, which I believe that was... did I just lose my tab? Why did I do that? She was here for a second. Yeah, this is a right episode. I'm gonna find this. I swear I am. Whatever. But the member of Nova Squadron who gets killed, Jaxa, Sito Jaxa, I believe. she was supposedly, not supposedly, but we find out, Mariner idolized her while at the academy, and that kind of one of the reasons why she's been self-sabotaging is because, well, you know, Sito was only ever an ensign. She never made it any higher. So why should I, Beckett Mariner, feel that, you know, something high, like just being an ensign isn't good enough? And that, you know, hey, part of why I'm self-sacrificing is that I don't want to kind of forget my friend or kind of sully the memory of them by, you know, advancing past this kind of thing. And
okay,
that would be good writing, except there was nothing in really any of the previous episodes to hint at that. Mariner never talked about things in that way. She never mentioned this friendship. She never mentioned sort of this idea of this traumatic experience and that this is part of why she was the way that she is. It definitely feels like, for lack of a better term, them retconning her character. And so I wish that even if they had just done the retconning in season 4, that they had started to work towards that earlier in the season than it basically just coming up in the last 2 episodes of it. Because otherwise they do a really good job, right? The whole her and Ransom sort of relationship and the way that he's constantly supporting her and overcoming her self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
But basically what had been happening is Nick Locarno had actually been basically capturing the captains of these ships as the lower decks were literally mutinying and taking over the ships, and he had created Nova Fleet.
Yeah.
And he has this, like, I forget what it is, but it's like this super bomb that can basically terraform a planet. So if anybody tries to stop Nova Fleet, we'll destroy it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He puts up this giant barrier around it. They need to get past it. The way that they end up doing that is that Tendi has to go back to her family, borrow this old Orion warship, but in exchange, the agreement is she's going to go back to Orion and leave Starfleet. So end of season 4 is they basically stop Nick Locarno, they rescue Mariner, but bye-bye Tendi.
No.
Don't worry, she'll be back.
But that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Season 5. So we basically start like Tendi's gone. It's now just Mariner, Boimler, Rutherford, and T'Lyn. Rutherford not taking it well. He's you know, hey, that was my science buddy. I can't handle this. That she's gone. They had always kind of
he was engineering, right?
Yeah, so he was engineering.
So they worked together.
T'Lyn and Tendi are science officers, and then Mariner and Boimler are, God, what's the term? It's like command officers or whatever.
Red shirts. Basically, it technically means they are security, but like,
no, that's yellow.
It's yellow, but then engineering's also yellow.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Yeah, it's dumb. I know.
Now, okay, to be fair, my Star Trek knowledge is very old because my main source of Star Trek is like Generation 1 Trek, like 60s, 70s Trek.
Yeah, no, we all know that you learned everything from your Spock cross Kirk fanfics.
I mean, I wrote them. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
I literally wrote the book on.
Oh, okay.
But enough about my fanfics where Kirk is gently caressing Spock's bowl cut.
There's something about bowl cut. Just like, oh no, now it's weird. You know, before it could have been sensual. Now it's just like, oh no, this is a weird fetish, actually.
This is highly logical, Kirk. He said, we said gently into his ear. Kirk said, I don't care. Anyway. Point is, yeah, that I kind of, okay, that always confused me because, that's right, because Worf was a yellow shirt, wasn't
Yellow,
he?
yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
That is always confusing. So, okay, the shirt color thing, that's always confusing as hell. That's one thing that I could not get into Star Trek for, because like if you're a red shirt, it means you are security, right? No, it means you're a commanding officer kind of thing. But it doesn't actually mean that. It means you're all security in these sectors. But like, well, if you're a yellow shirt, well, you're security, but also an engineer. Pick one. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I hate that. Hate it so much.
There are things about Star Trek that are real dumb.
As a military, because they're military. This is the military.
No. They're exploration.
It's a military command structure
with torpedoes. Come on.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, and yes, very much a military.
The Federation is a military, even if it is for exploration purposes. The military does do exploration as well, in current day and age. But I mean, like, you would have a more obvious command structure, because you would have your chevrons, your bars, etc., to determine you are this command level. I take orders from you. / you belong to this sector of the ship. You do this, and this, because everybody's badge means a different thing. They have a color coded operation here. It's like blue, science. We all know that. Yellow, engineering, but also / security. Red, command / also security, but only in certain series. What is happening? Star Trek, please, I beg you, pick one. God, just pick one.
Never.
Please.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Season 5. So Tenny gone. We do still get to see her.
Yeah.
When she is off doing her Orion stuff, eventually she earns her way back to the ship. No big deal there, honestly.
Yeah.
But season 5 continues some really good writing, some really good moments to it.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about the end, because in particular, I think the ending is what's just some quintessential Star Trek. And like, so the final 2 episodes came out December 12th and December 19th. I didn't watch them until sometime in January. Well, when we talk about them, you'll understand why. Definitely a nice counteractive to some of the events happening then. But
sure.
So episode 9, the second to last episode, we actually go back to William Boimler, I think it is, who is William Boimler. So earlier in season 2, I think it is.
Sure.
Brad Boimler ends up getting duplicated in a transporter incident. One of them stays as Brad Boimler. The other becomes William Boimler. At one point, William Boimler faked his death so he could join Section 32, I think they're called.
Okay.
Which is basically this Starfleet sort of black ops, you could sort of call them. They're kind of counterintelligence, like covert missions. They often deal with a lot of the like time law stuff, for lack of a better term, in Star Trek. So,
Sure, yeah.
oh, this person's trying to go back in time. We're the ones that have to do some sneaky to stop them. But William Boimler is traveling across dimensions, and they're basically doing so trying to stop these wormholes that keep opening up, and they can't figure out why. And he has this crew that is essentially all these past Star Trek series, sort of fan favorites. Not all of them are fan favorites, but a lot of them are. So we have, in particular, Dr. Julian Bashar and Elim Garrick, who were both from Deep Space Nine.
Yes, they are. I know those names.
Yes. So
yeah. No,
Julian Bashir, he was the Doctor, played by Alexander Siddig. And Garrick was the Cardassian who kind of stayed on the station and was not like treacherous towards his own people, but he was sort of he would always help Starfleet to sort of prevent the Cardassians from being able to take over or expanding their empire, kind of thing. It's not that he hated his people, but that he sort of recognized, like, we're kind of the bad guys, so I don't want to see, like, the empire destroyed, but I want to, make sure it can't expand, and in the hopes that over time it will kind of realize the errors of its way, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But going back to how Tristan learned a lot of his Star Trek, one of the things was fans had always shipped these two. In this episode, they are in fact together. They're from two different realities.
All right.
So it's like, I'm just going to make it up, but like, this is Garrick from reality 112, and this is Dr. Bashir from reality 456, but they still get together and fall in love. There's also just a million Harry Kims, but Harry Kim is apparently always an ensign, no matter the dimension he is from. We also get, I say fan favorites, for some reason, T'Pol from God, what was the name of that series? Star Trek Enterprise, I think was what it was called. The really bad one from the mid-2000s.
Enterprise, yeah. It wasn't...
Yeah,
okay.
It's been a long road opening.
The song's not that great. Not the worst series from what I've seen of it. Entertaining enough.
Yeah, it's fine, but it's kind of a bad Star Trek. But basically, they're traveling through this, and William Boimler is just kind of getting angry and frustrated and hates what he's going through, and he's basically sort of losing enjoyment of the wonder of space and everything. 'Cause he's just going like, every galaxy is just kind of the goddamn same thing, except, ooh, in this galaxy, people have red hair, or, oh, in this galaxy, the ships are steampunky looking, but it's all the same. God, but gets angry. Yeah. Eventually, part of this is learning that, hey, no, actually, even within that minutia of things, there's this incredible beauty and wonder to it all. But what ends up happening is the reason that all these wormholes were happening is that Lily Sloan, or Captain Sloan, who is from an alternate reality, where instead of developing a warp drive, they develop a dimensional drive, didn't realize they were punching all these wormholes through these different galaxies. They figure out a way to stop it, but one of the Harry Kims turns evil,
Nice.
Convinces all the other ones to join him in a mutiny.
Yeah.
They trigger this event that would basically wipe out all dimensions.
As you do. Yep.
William Boylan's like, okay, what are we going to do? How do we resolve this? It's like, okay, what we do is we can basically sort of push back against this science wave, we'll call it, science explosion.
Science wave?
And we can force it into one galaxy. Which one are we going to do? And Boimler goes, I know what we're going to do. We're going to send it to my dimension because I know I can send a message to the other me, and I trust in I trust in me, and I trust in the people on the Cerritos, right? Like
Okay.
Those, even though I'm William Boimler, hey, I remember the time I spent with Mariner, with Rutherford, Tendi. I don't think he wouldn't know Talin, but Captain Freeman, etc. I know all these people. I trust them. I know they can do this. And so the final episode, we then cut back to the Cerritos. Boimler basically, I think it's like a psychic message. Basically, he gets it, has to go to Captain Freeman and be like, my other self-cloned me sent me a message, and God, we're all doomed. We're all going to die.
Yeah.
We have to get to this location and stop it. While that's happening, this Klingon character from earlier season shows up. There's this whole dilemma where another Klingon ship shows up and they're like, he's a traitor, you have to hand him over, blah blah blah. But what ends up, there's two of these Klingons. Captain Freeman contacts Starfleet. Starfleet's like, yes, you must hand them over. And they're like, this doesn't seem right. Like, they should have, like sanctuary rights and such, protection from us. We hey, we should be expecting the Klingons to hand over proof. We shouldn't just have them be able to show up and go like, that person's a criminal, you need to hand them over to us, kind of thing, right? Like, same thing that we typically have in our Earth, that, hey, one nation can't just go like,
sense, yes.
France can't just go, Tristan Crane is actually, he's a French citizen and a criminal, you need to send him back. We don't have to give you any proof. Just send him to us. It's cool, right?
Fuck you, France. You'll never be alive.
The captain's going through this, bit of conflict, but one of the two Klingons just disappears. Can't figure it out where they are on the ship. And these two were friends with Beckett. So, of course, Captain Freeman suspects that it's Mariner who has done this. And while she's literally trying to deal with a dimension-destroying event that will wipe out all life, everything, actually, turns out it was Jack Ransom who did it. He's like, Captain, I did it because I knew you needed time to figure out what you were going to do. And even if this is going to get me, like, demoted or kicked out of Starfleet, this was the right thing. Right? I could not let you be forced to hand over two innocent men this thing that goes against everything Starfleet's supposed to be for. So, yeah, I did this thing. I don't care what the results are. It was the right thing to do. Turns out, actually, Starfleet didn't say that. These Klingons had faked their message. They basically managed to stop these Klingons while they are trying to stop this dimension-destroying event. And kind of while all this is happening, it's all about the crew coming together and figuring out a way to get through this. So, like, Boimler is having to overcome his sort of anxieties and indecisions and need to, like, always meticulously plan things, and he's got to be really decisive in this. Tendi and Talin, who have had at times some friction over who was going to get to be the senior science officer,
sure,
they realize this whole, like, we have to work together and science together, yeah, kind of high five, bestie. Rutherford, who had been kind of going through this like, stupid Cerritos, it's so outdated. I want to work on a ship that's got new tech. He realizes, oh, no, the Cerritos, because it's this California class, it's super modular. It's literally the perfect ship to deal with this. No other ship in the fleet can handle this. It has to be a California class because it's the only one that you could be able to easily modify to, science it up in the way that you need to stop this.
Sure.
And what I had mentioned earlier about, certain events in January, the Trump inauguration, having all that stuff happen, and then these 2 episodes that are all just about this idea of supporting one another, coming together, showing with Dr. Bashir and Garrick, literally LGBTQ representation.
Yes.
All this stuff is like, oh, man, this is a just nice antidote to all that. It's a nice reminder that despite the people in charge of the most powerful nation on Earth currently and how much they all suck, that there are good people out there doing good things, and, science matters no matter what RFK Jr. says, no matter how much he tries to convince us that vaccines cause autism and how stupid that is. Actually, no, there are people out there who go, no, science is just super cool and awesome, and we should invest in it and do all these things. It's like, this is so nice.
It sounds like you're listening to a lot more scientists talk, because the cool thing with the science.
Let's be clear, they're a bunch of nerds. I don't actually want to listen,
bunch of fucking
losers.
Nerds. Fair enough.
Am I right?
But, yeah, I guess so. Push them in lockers, steal their lunch money. But also, but also, the science community is really cool across the world because there's this open source sharing of facts and information between them all, with the exception now of, it was Russia and like other similar countries as that, but the United States is also starting to pull out their scientist community from sharing information as well, despite that being a global thing. We all do it. So.
Everyone knows science has always been about not sharing.
Yes. Yeah, science has never been about the betterment of mankind. It's always and keeping our planet correct. It's always been about keeping information in, that way we know what's going on and they don't. However, when you do that, it means that your scientists won't know information either, because then they stop sharing that, and it doesn't go. It's a two-way street. How it works.
Look, Elon's genius. He'll just figure it all out.
Oh, great. I'm glad they have Elon Musk, the super genius.
Yes.
In their country.
Yeah.
Very American thing to do. He's the most American.
Is.
He's the most American possible, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just like Kissinger. Very American.
Ugh. Unfortunately, yes. But they managed to resolve this whole thing. And the way that it all ends is that Captain Freeman gets promoted. Basically, this sort of dimensional wormhole forms. Captain Freeman gets promoted. I forget if it's like Admiral or something. But she's going to be stationed at the wormhole as sort of the key diplomat for these other dimensions.
Sure.
Captain Ransom gets promoted to... Commander Ransom gets promoted to Captain Ransom of the Cerritos. And the specific reason I want to bring this up is that, so every captain, has their catchphrase, right? Make it so, etc. Yeah. Now, Ransom, he's a gym bro. You're never going to get it right, but Tristan, I want you to guess what he makes his gym bro catchphrase for,
Okay. Couple options. Never skip leg day.
Nope.
If he's a gym bro, creatine is on a steroid.
That would be a good one, but no.
Yeah. And Let me think. How about just 10 more reps?
That would be a really good one, and that was probably the closest. So it's both better and worse than all those.
Oh no!
Because it's a starship, right?
Yeah,
starship that gets driven by a warp core. So his catchphrase is "Engage the core."
Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, yeah.
But literally, the way that this show ends is just him going like, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say my phrase." And Beckett's like, no, don't. Whatever it is, please don't say it. I know it's going to be bad. And he just goes, engage the core. It's like, oh.
that one is pretty good. That one is pretty
good.
We
can't put up with this for years. It's like, that's it. That's my catchphrase.
See,
and that's basically how this show ends. And it's perfect. It's the perfect way to end it on a dumb pun.
For those who don't understand jokes and don't understand what engage the core means, as a lifter, I can inform you that basically when you engage your core, you have to stabilize yourself, which is, I believe, the exact opposite of what is happening inside the warp core. I'm pretty sure it's going nuclear, which means it's not stable.
It's actually a white hole, black hole. I forget which it is, but it's basically matter and antimatter colliding.
Oh, it's even less stable then. Awesome.
It's a very...
All right,
destructive forces happening.
Yes.
But that's essentially Star Trek's Lower Decks. I highly recommend it. Like we were talking about at the start, I hope we get to see something more out of this. I'd love to get the occasional special or a movie. Certainly,
sure.
I would love... More seasons might be a little bit difficult just because they clearly tried to kind of put a cap on it.
Yeah.
It's not to say you couldn't get more characters of these characters. You couldn't see more of this stuff, but it would feel a little bit awkward going back in that way of more seasons. So it's why I think I prefer something more like specials or a movie.
Yep.
I will say, if they do a movie, I forget who it was. One of the cast members had suggested this and went, "Oh, that would be that's the way they should do it." I if they do a movie, I want it to be partially live action, partially animated, because they had that crossover episode between Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds. So I would love to see them do a movie like that of just, oh no, we're in this weird dimension and look at, is this like the fourth dimension? What's going on? I don't understand. It would be perfect. They should do it.
What if also all claymation episode?
Yes.
Well, at least partially.
Yeah. I would love if what they did was, hey, we're going to do specials and they're going to be in a variety of different art styles.
Puppet episode. Every great show is a puppet episode.
Who owns the... no, Disney owns the Muppets, so they couldn't do the Muppets.
No,
damn.
This is CBS. So you couldn't do Muppets. But you could do puppets, just kind of... You don't call them Muppets, of course. You just kind of sweep that...
Yes, yeah. I would be very okay with a puppet episode. That would be...
But just one of them is
more stuff should have puppets, quite frankly.
Yes, I agree. But like only half of them are puppets.
Which half? I mean,
or actually, no. It's always more okay. It's always more funny when everybody else but one person is a puppet. It's always more funny that way.
I actually like the half and half because then you get Jack Ransom just hitting on puppets.
That's pretty good.
I like the idea of that.
All right.
Yeah, no, more stuff should have puppets. That would be specifically Muppets. I do think a Muppet Star Trek would be really good.
That'd be pretty cool. What if they Pigs in Space is right there. So what if they did? Hear me out. I think that Star Trek Lower Decks is going to show for this. They took every kind of cheesy one-off style of episode you can do. Your puppet episode, your weird beach episode, your strange, like, we're going to go to a different location episode, your musical episode, all of them, and just cram them into one episode. Everything at once.
Give me that as it's a movie. They're going through dimensions, and each dimension is this weird, new, different thing.
Sure.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Perfect.
Do it, CBS or Paramount, whichever is the parent company. I don't know, you cowards.
I think it's Paramount at this point, so yes.
Yeah, I think Paramount owns CBS. I don't know. These days, it's impossible to tell.
Who knows who owns anything anymore?
Eventually, be like one company, probably Disney.
Yeah.
I guess.
Disney
I don't know. David Zaslav, something.
Maybe Microsoft. Who knows?
Ugh.
I mean, as Microsoft is buying up all these game studios, they could just start buying up TV studios too, and like streaming providers.
Yeah.
What if Microsoft owned Netflix?
I don't think Microsoft would do well at that kind of creativity.
I mean, they might.
Satya Nadella likes AI too much for that to work out.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's been Lower Decks, like I said.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it, especially with the world happening. This is a fantastic, cathartic, partly distraction, partly reminder and encouragement that, hey, actually, there's still good there. So, cannot recommend enough currently. But Tristan, why don't you tell people where to find us?
You can go to our Blue Sky, which is at eifnirpodcast. That's a place you can go to tell us how much you really enjoy our show. You can also go to our Spotify and iTunes pages. Leave a review, rate us something. Stars. Stuff with stars.
We only accept 12 stars.
12
Anything
stars.
less than 12 stars, we'll hunt you down.
Excuse me. 12 stars only. Also go to our YouTube channel, which is what you're watching right now. Click the buttons the like, subscribe buttons. And then just jam on those all day long until you feel satisfied with your life.
Hopefully that's how that works. I don't know.
Yeah, it very well could. Actually, if you could jam on those until I feel satisfied in my life, that'd be great too. Preferably that one. Also, go to our friend/DJDane.com. That's the guy who does music, DJDane.com. Listen to his great tunes. I'm just gonna say, bounce his graviton particle beam off of, the radar speaker dish. So that's all you gotta do.
I didn't know he had one, but yeah, do that.
Yeah, he's at both.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Anyway, that is it for our show. Tune in next time for another Esney episode of Everything is Fine is Ruined. See ya.
See ya.
Hey.